Good evening and welcome to the May 16th, 2024 Northampton County Council meeting. Could we please rise for the pledge? Mr. Kapora, will you lead us? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Phil, since you're here, could I indulge you to lead us in a moment of prayer?
Sure, from the microphone?
Sure. Can I take advantage of your presence?
Thank you, I appreciate that. Can we bow in honor and reverence? Lord, thank you for this great opportunity to be here tonight. We ask your blessings, your wisdom, and your guidance and direction for all decisions that will be made, that it may honor you, that we may walk in love and compassion towards humanity. In the name of your Son, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Glad to have you. Could we please call roll? Ms. Shevninsky.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Corpora.
Here.
Mr. Giovanni.
Here.
Mr. Goffredo.
Here.
Mr. Heckman. Ms. Keegan.
Here.
Mr. Kraft.
Present.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Here.
Mr. Warren.
Here.
All present, except for Mr. Heckman and Mr. Goffredo by phone.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 2nd, 2024?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Next, we have courtesy of the floor. I ask that people who ask to speak state your name and the city where you reside, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak. And first, we have Pastor Phil Davis. Pastor Doctor, sir.
Thank you so much. Philip Davis, 600 Country Club Road, Easton, Pennsylvania. Madam President and County Exec McClure, to the County Council, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on a pressing issue in the County of Northampton. The need for affordable housing is the topic. You know, Greater Shiloh Church and our Community Development Corporation served as a representative for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. We covered the zip codes of 18042, 18045, and 18040. And we had a chance to witness firsthand the challenges that many families face, not just with stable housing, but with homelessness. And I'm not just talking about families in general, I'm talking about seniors, women with children, those with disabilities, veterans. The challenges were great. And we watched them come into our doors, and we did everything we could to provide for them the support that was necessary. The statistics reflect that in the zip codes that we covered, there was about $3,000 awarded in, $3 million, awarded in total rent assistance, which includes current and past due rents, as well as future rents. Down payment and closing cost assistance, security deposit money as well. I think when we consider this, current fair market rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in Northampton County on average is somewhere between $1,500 and $2,100 per month. With Dixie Cup, the 2-bedroom, I read in the paper, it's going to be about $2,800 a month.
Excuse me, Pastor Phil, could I interrupt you?
Please.
Whoever's,
I thought that was interference. Okay.
it is, I'm trying to get him to stop. If you're on the phone, could you please mute yourself? Thank
just
you.
answered. Hello.
Mr. Heckman just joined the meeting. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead, continue.
So I see this on TV all the time, reclaiming my time. I'm kidding. Yeah, so think about a 2-bedroom apartment with this new project that's going on, $2,800 a month. 1-bedroom apartment, $1,900 a month. A cost that is well beyond the reach of so many of our residents, including families, women with children, seniors, and those with disabilities, and veterans, as I mentioned earlier. I think this illustrates a clear need for additional support in affordable housing initiatives. While market rate developments continue to rise, it's crucial that these developers also invest in affordable housing. Sorry about that. Invest in affordable housing. I think taking a balanced approach aids us in maintaining a diverse community and ensuring that housing remains accessible to all income levels. One of the challenges, I think, when we see so many market rate units going up and not considering the least of these, if you will, or those that may be struggling, or those that are working at a warehouse, Amazon, and then trying to find apartments, it's a very difficult time for hardworking Americans who are just looking to have sustainable housing. So Greater Shiloh, our Community Development Corporation, is actively contributing to this cause with two significant projects. One is a 60-unit affordable housing project that will be applying for low-income housing tax credits through the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. And the second involves the construction of 7 single-family homes on the south side of Easton, and that is for sale to low to moderate income buyers, first-time home buyers, to help them create some generational wealth and become homeowners. Of course, the South Side was just named as a blueprint community by the Federal Home Loan Bank, so that's going to open up opportunity for resource to come to our community. The county has been very gracious in partnering with us to provide resources to assist us with the 60 units. We'll be participating in the HOME program as a community housing development organization to acquire the land on the south side to build the homes on, which will ensure that they will stay low to moderate income. But there's still challenges as it relates to getting the finances together to make these projects happen, right? When you think about low-income housing tax credits, they're only giving so much. The cost of construction has significantly gone up. So we've got some funding gaps. And if the county or the city or the state had more resources to put into projects like this, it would help to advance and move forward, some of these projects that may be in the pipeline. What we have done as a 1 minute, ooh, that was quick. Did you give me my time back? No, I'm just kidding. So let me be quick. We've engaged a builder locally, Mike Tuskus from Tuskus Homes, who came along and said, hey, listen, we'll deliver these houses to you at cost to us with a small margin. So he shrunk some of his margins to be able to build these single family homes. We work with Boyle Construction, Sean Boyle, who's come in and done some value engineering to significantly reduce the cost of our project, the 60 units. And I say that to say that they're making an investment as those who are benefiting from our community, are reinvesting back into our community by working with the nonprofits. I think that all developers and those that are coming into our community or county to benefit from our county should take the same step that Mr. Boyle and Mr. Tuskus have made to say, hey, listen, we're going to benefit from the community. We want to reinvest back into the community, and I think that makes our community stronger, and it helps to stabilize communities. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Could I ask you to just state, who was the entity that you partnered with? You said Pennsylvania.
PHFA, Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, for the LIHTC, the low-income housing tax credits. And we're working with the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh to work with our affordable housing program for the single-family homes that are being built.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all.
Next, we have, and I can't read the name, Claudia Robinson? Robinson, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Claudia Robinson. I was here last week, I believe, doing an overview of the redevelopment of the Dixie Cup factory site in Wilson Borough. I just want to do a quick overview because actually we have owners in terms of the owners group that will be hopefully going forward with this development. I want to remind everybody that this is the redevelopment of a site that has been ignored for 40 years. It is a brownfield site that we are looking to clean up. We have devised this project with input from both Wilson Borough and from the school district, Wilson Area School District, and from the county. And one of the things that we're doing is we are responding to what was requested. They want market rate housing for this particular development. They feel that, Wilson Borough feels that there has sufficient affordable housing, and in fact, that's one of the issues that they have. We are still in discussions because nothing has been approved, obviously, in terms of the TIF. And we're also presented in front of the zoning board and the changes that we were talking about. But they have made very specific requests, and we feel that we have responded. So one of the things is in talking, like, who are these folks? The owners are here. I obviously have mentioned before that I work as a consultant, the area being in terms of different types of financing, and specifically the tax credit financing that may come into play here. This project is going to go on the National Register. The whole purpose is to preserve the history of the site and also bringing in a high level of housing. One thing that you all know is that we did a feasibility study by the DTIC group. Basically, it identified that there is housing needs in all levels of housing in this area. We never did come in saying, oh, we're doing affordable housing, but we are contributing because we spoke with the county, and that was one of the requests that was made. We are still negotiating with the borough and the school district in terms of how else we're going to be good partners here. But I think that that's basically all that I have to present, and then I'll pass it over to Brian.
Thank you, Claudia. Good evening, everyone. Brian Barty. I'm the managing partner of Skyline Investment Group. How's everybody? Okay, good. I do appreciate starting this whole meeting with prayer. So that lets me know what type of community this is, and I really appreciate that. I also do agree with the pastor about the need for low-income housing. And as Claudia touched on, we're doing what we need to do to be considerate of all bodies, the county, the borough, and the school district. So we're more than willing to.
Can I interrupt you to
Sure.
say where you're from?
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Normally, we do this a little different. We don't usually pass on. So you're from where, sir?
Okay, so I'm originally from New Rochelle, New York, but my address is 7207 Kellam Drive, Silver Beach, Virginia.
You just had to say city, but thank you.
Okay, just being specific.
Thank you.
I understand, I'm an outsider, new here. I want to make everybody happy. So when I make a decision, I'm considering all three levels, from the county, from the need for low-income housing, to the school district, increasing their tax base. So none of the decisions I make are selfish for Skyline Investment Group Easton. I feel we have a responsibility to the county, to the community, because so many people have probably stood here before me and let everybody put their credibility out there and haven't delivered anything. So I operated under the radar. We've invested now, as of next week, over $4 million of our own capital into the community. Did I get that time back?
I don't know.
So the property.
Any of us are getting that time.
That's okay. The property, as Claudia touched on, is actually with DEP right now for approval. It has been remediated completely. We did get the approval for the phase 1 with MPS. So this property is very advanced. We're probably maybe 6 weeks away from changing the rezoning to the district. So we're more than willing to work with the county to facilitate their needs, as well as everyone else. But the bottom line is that this building, sitting there for 40 years, just in that condition, it doesn't help anyone. So I'm here to do a job, and I know that we have the capability to get it done. And I also like to add that I appreciate the versatility and the acceptance of having a minority-led ownership group to be able to do this project with the community. As an African American, things can be difficult at times. So the fact that everyone has been open and welcoming, I really appreciate that as well. And if there's any questions for me later on, I'm sure I can answer. anything because I've been deeply rooted in this project from the very beginning. And we also, outside of the agreement that we made on the building, we were very, very adamant on paying the back taxes. That wasn't my responsibility, but I know how much it means to all three levels, all the governing bodies, all the taxing, all the citizens, right? You know, I don't want any additional burden to be on the school district, on the borough, or on the county. And we'll be paying the taxes again here probably in the next 2 weeks. So we have the experience. We're committed. We're going to continue to keep spending our own capital. We don't have any public money into the project at this point. And that's where we stand.
Thank you.
All right?
Next is David Amirian. I've asked for that, and I'll ask again to please mute. The other thing is there some construction going on? Because I hear like, can we close that door? Will that make it better, or we can't close that door? Can we lower the volume at least on it?
Can those on the phone mute themselves, please?
Been muted there, buddy.
I think it's our system. Thank you. Sorry, sir. Now,
okay.
see, we're not even giving you the time to start.
It's okay. Whenever you're ready.
Sure, you can introduce yourself and where you're from.
Hi everyone. My name is David Amirian. I live at 6 North Circle Drive in Great Neck on Long Island in New York. I'm the principal of the Amirian Group. We're a real estate developer in New York City, second generation. My grandfather was a developer for 45 years in New York. I started in 2001 working for a union construction company in New York City. Did that to 2005. From 2006 to 2010, I was the president of the Satai in New York. And then from 2010 till now, I have been the principal of this real estate development company. We've built 14 projects. Yes, in New York. And to go off of what the pastor said, I think that the benefit here also that I want to touch upon is that there is prevailing wage for part of this project that does benefit the people of the community. So I think that's a touch point that's important. I also would like to emphasize that I'm a man of faith and I'm religious, and I go to temple every week and I support several charitable organizations that are religious in nature. And I believe that we're here not only to help, obviously, to build a great product, but also to help the community as best as we can. So thank you, and if you have any further questions, I'm here to be sure to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have all of your contact information, each of you that, I was just going to state, if anybody on council would like to get in touch with you
Sure.
privately, if you just want to give
Yeah.
it to Linda before you leave.
You want me to give it to you?
cards.
You want to?
No, Linda's over there.
Oh,
She'll
sure.
get your information in case anybody wants to contact you
Sure.
privately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for that. Mr. Barty as well. And we have yours, I believe, right? Thank you.
I think they have it on speed dial, just saying.
Do we have anybody else who wishes to speak to courtesy of the floor at this time? Mr. McClure, do you have a report?
Good evening, Council. As always, it's wonderful to be here with you. 1752, that's when we were founded. And very often, change comes slowly to a county that was founded in 1752. And, you know, I feel blessed, as I'm sure all of you do, to have been able to experience fully the last quarter of the last century and now the first quarter of this one. And as we've said, change comes slowly to Northampton County, and we are dragging it into the 21st century. And my report tonight is going to emphasize to you some of the things that we have been doing recently to fully realize technology in the 21st century. Specifically, we have announced that Northampton County Emergency Management Center has joined Next Generation 911, NG 911 network. All county 911 traffic is now live on the NG 911 core services for all voice, text, and location services with the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, PEMA. NG 911 is designed to access emergency services by bridging the digital divide and strengthening an aging 911 ecosystem, originally built solely for wireless telephones. The new network replaces state infrastructure from the 1970s with a secure fiber-based network that relies on Geographic Information System, GIS, map data to locate and deliver calls to the appropriate 911 call center, allowing for smooth call transfers and sharing of systems and data, creating other opportunities yet to be implemented. Northampton County's NG 911 call delivery is now provided by PEMA 911 through Comtech Telecommunications Corp. Previously, Verizon was the provider. Northampton County now joins PEMA's NG 911 initiative to enhance 911 centers' capabilities and services to the community. I personally would like to thank our Emergency Management Director, Todd Weaver, Michael Leonard, Deputy Director for Systems, and A.J. Olszewski, System and Logistics Manager at Emergency Management. This transition will allow us to be better equipped to receive incoming 911 calls faster and with more accurate caller information, relying on modern technology to identify wireless callers' location and securely receive multimedia communications like text messages, photos, and video. Telecommunicators' methods of receiving and handling emergency calls will not change, and today's move to the Next Generation 911 resulted in no disruptions for Northampton County. 911 callers won't notice anything different except the ambulance will get there faster, the police will get there sooner, the fire trucks will get there quicker, and we are dragging this county into the future. Additionally, many counties across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for years have been able to have a legal system whereby attorneys and people representing themselves, called pro se, could file their papers electronically, but not in Northampton County. Only very recently have we been able to accomplish that goal. And the Northampton County Court Services announced that the Prothonotary has launched a new electronic e-file system designed to streamline document processing and enhance accessibility for attorneys. The new e-filing system provides a secure method to submit and manage documents related to civil cases. Filings that currently may not be electronically filed, custody actions, protections from abuse action, district magisterial appeals, license suspension appeals, petition for name change, and writ of executions, cannot be electronically filed, but everything else can. While the adoption of the electronic filing is not mandatory, the Prothonotary encourages the use of online tools to expedite case proceedings and enhance overall productivity. The online electronic filing system is available 24/7. Filings may be submitted at any time, however. They will only be reviewed and processed during the standard business hours. For law firms working with deadlines, it's recommended to allow sufficient time for processing. And you'll recall that you approved the Prothonotary's fee schedule. And one of the things electronic filing will do, in addition to modernizing us in the postmodern world, finally, it will allow for everyone to save paper. Save paper, right? That's one of the things we've been trying to do. And some of you have been sitting here long enough may recall that I have a goal to have Northampton County paperless by 2025. I am now told that it's possible we may be able to accomplish that by the end of 2025. Many of our departments and agencies are already substantially paperless. One of them, Northampton County Prison. We have in the Recorder of Deeds office, I believe Steve scanned all of the deeds. They are all now digitized. This is going to save a great deal of paper. Graysdale has ancient paper that's clogging our archives, potentially threatening to make our fairly new archives obsolete. So we are digitizing all of that. And it is our goal to have everything in the county scanned and digitized. And consistent with Pennsylvania law, we will destroy all those things that have been scanned and digitized that can be scanned and digitized and destroyed. So we're dragging this county forward into the future. We had, speaking of technology, we had audits, 2 audits. We once again got selected by the state for an enhanced audit of our election. By the way, we passed both audits. Steve, if you want to. Finally, council, you have a rare opportunity. I believe it's a once-in-a-generation opportunity. This place is a mess. It's not just an eyesore. It's a symbol of the past. It's a symbol of our industrial era. And with the group, some of whom you've met here tonight, their plan to redevelop and repurpose this ancient, decrepit, decaying, ultimately dangerous building, we have the rare opportunity to repurpose, redevelop, and reinvigorate not just Wilson Borough, but the entire county. And let me sort of frame that for you. You know, we hear a lot of talk about in the political realm how we're the bellwether of counties in Pennsylvania and how keystone the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is to the Electoral College. All that talk in politics about our purple county and how important we are because we're so much like the rest of the Commonwealth and very much like the average of the rest of the country. And what we do here can be potentially predictive. But I think what we're doing here in the Lehigh Valley right now, in total, in business, in healthcare, in all of the various sectors that we care so much about, in the preservation of farmland, open space, and environmentally sensitive land, and in our economic development strategy to create jobs of the future in manufacturing and specifically in high-tech manufacturing, not only are we a bellwether for politics, I think we're an exemplar and on the verge of being the blueprint for the rest of the Commonwealth and the rest of the country as to what a region should look like going forward into the 21st century. I believe we are on the verge of being that model because we are balancing our economic development and our job creation with our farmland preservation, our open space, and our environmentally sensitive land preservation. We're balancing the need to create high-tech manufacturing jobs with dealing with pollution in our air. We are balancing these issues, just making it not just a place to work, but a place to raise your family, a wonderful place to get educated. We have so many wonderful institutions of higher learning, but we have post-industrial symbols like this, which will hold us back, not just practically speaking, because we do need housing, and we need housing for all levels of income, from the highest levels to the lowest. We need housing for everyone. And this project is committed to over $1 million to help fund our affordable housing priorities in Northampton County. We've got an affordable housing project ongoing in Forks. We've got an affordable housing project ongoing in Glendon. I want to help Pastor Phil with his affordable housing projects in Easton, but I don't have any money. And I'm not saying that $1 million or $1.1 million, whatever this project's going to generate, is going to be able to fully build out even our Glendon project. It's not the point. It will help. The $1 million will help. But it's the beginning of sending a message to everybody else who does market rate in Northampton County if you want our help, specifically in this instance, a TIF, that you have to help too. And this developer and this development group is demonstrating that they are willing to do that. And every time someone comes to us in the future looking for our assistance, we're going to say, hey, you have an example here of a responsible developer who took on this monstrous project that no one could get done in 40 years. And by the way, this site has had every tax benefit that you can think of applied to it. It's been in a KOZ. I think it's had alerta. I mean, lots and lots of government effort has gone into this. This is it. I think this is the last chance for the place. You can do this. You can redevelop this place. You can increase the housing supply in Northampton County by over 400 apartments. And by increasing the housing supply, you actually will ultimately bring rents down. And we'll need less affordable units one day. Not now, but one day. So I just encourage you, look at the mess this place is and think about how creative you must be to come up with the idea to fix it and turn it into apartments and to put the team together that can actually do this. There's been some reporting recently in some corners of the media to suggest that the development team to do this project are not ready for primetime players. Well, I think you started to get to meet them tonight. If you have any questions when I, in a minute or two, finish up my presentation, I'm sure they'd be happy to entertain any of them. The fact of the matter is they are ready. And I just want to point your attention. Tina, you handed out, did you hand this out? Is that the feasibility study? Okay. I think you've all received this because I think I gave it to you. On page 9, it's the team roster. And I just wanted to go through, in case any of you might for a second think that this isn't what Coach Vitale would say are primetime PTPers, primetime players. You've got Area Probe LLC. Area Probe is a Washington, D.C.-based full-service real estate advisory firm. They provide third-party services such as commercial appraisals and feasibility studies, in addition to tax credit and real estate advisory, project management, and capital allocation. Area Probe is focused on supporting the real estate development process to create quality housing, retail, hospitality, healthcare options across urban markets. Capital Environmental Services, Inc., it's a remediation consultant based in Newark, Delaware, provides remediation, environmental construction, fuel services, and waste management services. Castle Green Financial, CPACE lender. Castle Green, based in Irvington, New York, is a private capital source that has established itself as a leading source of private capital dedicated to implementing CPACE, commercial property assessed clean energy. And you remember, we have a CPACE program in Northampton County, financing solutions across the commercial real estate sector. Castle Green embraces the collaboration of commercial real estate construction along with green energy and carbon emission reduction strategy by providing property owners with the financing tools needed to create, redevelop clean, sustainable, energy-efficient real estate through a superior capital stack. If you were here the last time Ms. Robinson was here, you heard her say that there would be solar panels on the rooftop and that would, their estimate is, provide 85% of the electricity needed to power the place. Chasm Architecture, the architect, a fully integrated architecture, planning, interiors, and branding design firm that practices nationally with offices in Georgia and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I mean, and the list goes on, and you have it. We provided it to you, or we will provide it to you, to just show you the team that Mr. Barty has assembled here to get this done. So I don't want council to be left with the impression that this team is anything other than first rate and we believe can get this job done. But we also think it's going to need help. And I have to tell you, I would not be recommending to council a TIF if they weren't willing to work with us to help us fund some of our affordable housing projects. But they are, and the TIF will be a powerful a powerful tool to get this thing done, and to turn this, this just 40 years of neglect and decay and into something that's beautiful and something that people will want to live in. And let's not forget that the ancillary benefits of this will be a dog park that the public will be able to access, and a connection to the trail, the Two Rivers Trail, which everybody, the public, will be able to access. So not only will they be giving $1 million over time to our affordable housing programs, but they'll also be a good neighbor to the folks in Wilson. And this will be, that cup that they put back up there will be a symbol, not just to Wilson or Palmer or Easton, but to the whole county, the whole valley, and the whole state, that the Lehigh Valley is what you want to emulate as you're moving your community into the 21st century. Thanks, Council. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. McClure?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Warren.
Thank you, Madam President. Since the initial presentation, and quite frankly, since my initial excitement at the prospect of this project, I've really been giving a lot of thought as well to, of course, a lot of different variables, but the fact that this particular site is a public safety hazard and has been for quite some time. Do we know, County Executive McClure, how much of a public safety hazard this particular site is right now at this moment? Because I think that's an important part of the discussion and conversation, to say if there's responsible development that is going to inevitably take place here, that we can't keep it as a public safte hazard.
Right. I mean, you can just see the broken windows, right? Just right there, you can see how dangerous it is. It's what's referred to in the law as an attractive nuisance. You can see the graffiti inside there. So it's, again, an attractive nuisance, which is probably drawing young people in there in the dark, in danger. It's a massive place. There could be many things happening in there, none of which are good. So yes, you're right. I think it's best to direct that. I think in the next few meetings, you'll probably hear from Wilson Borough, and I think it's probably best to ask them about that. I think they have a phone book thick of violations and complaints and citations that have gone toward that building over the last 40 years.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for Mr. McClure? Go ahead, Tom.
Sure.
The TIF, the term of next 20 years?
Yes. And generally speaking, the term needs to be 20 years because it's very hard to get a bond financing for terms less than that for a TIF. And so just, I'm not a TIF expert, but I have a little bit of understanding of what's going on. One misconception is that the taxes, the current taxes that are paid to us, to Wilson, and to the school district would go away. That is not the case. We would still receive, during the life of the TIF, the taxes that were paid now. So in that sense, we're not losing anything. And if you think about, what a powerful tool TIF is, the money that's used to pay the bonds that they borrow is based upon the anticipated assessment of the place after it's renovated and is being used. And so the taxes that are generated that will be going to pay the bonds, they'll be paid into the TIF board or the TIF authority, and they'll pay the bonds with that money that would have been taxes that would have been paid. Well, those taxes only get generated because somebody did something. And this has remained off the market, if you will, for 40 years. Nobody's been doing anything there. So we won't lose any of our current tax money. Nobody will. And the TIF, and why it's such a powerful economic tool, is generating revenue based on the work that they're going to put into it. So if nothing happens, nothing happens. And I don't, if this doesn't get done now, I'm not sure it ever will. Not off the top of my head, I've seen the total number, it's not gigantic. I think what's the current assessment, Steve? It's like a million,
There's two parcels. One
what just
parcel,
come?
the building itself, I believe, the parcel that the building sits on is 1.2 million in assessed value. And then the total for both parcels is 1.3 million. So there's another $100,000 on that parking lot that is adjacent. There's no structure on that second parcel, I believe, correct, Claudia? Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Kraft?
I don't know if you were on council when the last TIF was voted on,
Yeah?
the one at Bethlehem Steel, that gave us Arts Quest and Music Fest and everything else that's over in Bethlehem. That was a TIF about 25 years, no, you weren't on council 25 years ago.
I can't remember if I was here for the Bethlehem TIF.
All right, so
I may have been, I can't remember.
the last TIF that we did, I believe, I think that was the only one, was the actual Bethlehem Steel brownfields. Now there's a casino and there's Arts Quest and everything else, all that money went in there. And I think that's the last one, it was very successful.
And when that's over, the amount of revenue generated for the city and
Was phenomenal.
Bethlehem School District and the county will be enormous.
Right, because it stepped up to 20 years, but everything wouldn't have been there if we didn't do that TIF back then.
That's correct.
And everybody, everybody benefited.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. McClure? Anybody on the phone have questions, although we probably deadened your sound?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir, I just knew. Yes,
Well,
Mr.
no,
Heckman?
I didn't know tonight, I didn't see the TIF, Wilson TIF on the agenda, so I was a little caught unawares. The concern I have is, I would like to ask Mr. McClure, first of all, for the steel stacks, I was on the redevelopment authority of Bethlehem, and let's not conflate this with the steel stacks. I could give you all the reasons why they're different. But having said that, I would ask, how much are they paying Mr. Reedman for this building?
I don't know. Well, in the first instance, Ron, they'll be back again 2 more times, so there'll be plenty of opportunity to ask them additional questions. So we didn't mean to blindside you in that regard, so that there'll be at least 2 more opportunities to question them about what's going on. I'm not going to argue with you about whether the Dixie is comparable to what's going on the south side of Bethlehem. I think I agree with your general point that there is an order of magnitude in difference, but I was responding to Mr. Kraft's question, and I also generally agree with his overall philosophy about that. And I don't know what they're paying for it.
Thank you.
If you want to tell? Yeah, Ron, Mr. Barty will tell you what he's paying for it.
All right.
Ron, how you doing?
Not too well, but
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. We're paying $11 million for the building,
thank you.
okay? And thank you for that eloquent. Just to clear a couple of things up, we're no longer using any CPACE because we're self-funding it, so that puts the project in a more advantageous position as well. So that's the only thing that you'd have, but that's okay.
Oh, there we go. Turn that down.
Say something that I forgot to mention.
I would really like to move on with our agenda, and I think in the future, if we want to keep having updates, maybe we could put you on the agenda. Mr. McClure, if you want to ask me for that, I'm happy to indulge since this is a larger scale project.
Oh, absolutely.
But I do need to move on with
Sure.
my agenda. this
Okay,
evening.
yep.
So are there any,
Sorry, this has to do with the handout.
I'm sorry,
It's
ma'am, I really need to move on. Thank you. You could send it to our clerk, you could send us an email, but we need to, you have a question, Mr. Brown?
No, just,
Go ahead.
I think the last TIF was with John Stouffer for the Schrin development. I think that was the last TIF project that was done up on 33, yeah. And that, similar to what Mr. McClure is negotiating here, some of that money went to fund the farmland open space. Yeah,
$2 million.
right.
Was the selectman?
And dedicated to open space.
Yep, farmland preservation. Yep. We're getting close to the 2 million. Yes, we are.
Any other questions for Mr. McClure?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any old business to discuss this evening? Hearing, seeing none, I need to call for a motion for an executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
I'll
Can I
make
have
that
a
motion.
motion?
I'll
Can I have a
second.
second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote?
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Keegan?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Corpora?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. So we'll be leaving, and it's 7:15. No.
You're the one dude who hasn't come to a meeting yet, that's stuck all by himself. I'm Marcos, I'm glad you come. They're gonna, they're on executive session. Got a lot to get.
Yes, I have a digital card.
So you take one of these. All right. Tell your teacher. Yeah. She's good at all. We have the same values as all institutions have. They do so much. I get stacks of these every Friday. And then destroy it? Does the signature scan move? We're trying to encourage. Yes, we're trying to encourage. Well, enjoy. Yes.
Nice to see you.
Great to see you as well.
Hope to see you again soon.
Yes.
Don't worry, I'll make them too. Don't work on my side.
the most interesting thing on the agenda tonight. Oh, listen. Sometimes, you know. Oh, you never know. You never know with them, though. Yeah. I had two phones by the way. Yeah. I actually still got saved on the couch. I got a call. Call me on this one and that phone.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have liked it. No, you're right. Well, let's do another phone. You still talk to him?
30, well, the thing is, I'll pay 33. So instead of going back 22, they'll take me to 33, I'll go 33 to Strasbourg, and boom, so I'm on 80, yeah, that's just straight 80. Yeah. But I don't have to stop at something. If he was in here, I'd ask him, go down. It's just us and Ryan. It's just, all right. He must be badass. You're hungry, buddy. I heard that little growl. Yeah. A little growl. Uh-oh. Dang. So let's get out of here. Is it like, if Kirk comes, go. First of all, now he's lazy. Everybody's typing on his computer. And then pop up and bang, be like, should I download this? No, don't do that. I'll stop up right here secretly with my phone. That put me up at 2:35. So it was about 2:30. I should have gone. I woke up, it was 2:15. I'm like, oh God. I checked my phone. I'm like, okay, where are we going? Good. Should I phone back? That's what happens. That's why. Because you're worried. Yeah, because now it's like, man, so
You definitely don't want to fall through the sleep. It's like, oh, shit. That's no worse. Like, oh my God.
I did that once. But usually at about 10 or 6, I'm out of the dinner. And I busted my kid in the butt. Oh, yeah. And I just quickly, instead of just getting up right away, I laid down. It's right up. It was like 6:10. Kyla's warming up. By the time she gets in. There's no time. There's only one.
They're not back.
It's Meyer. He's so important. Actually,
He's not allowed to have wildlife hair cut off.
Oh, he still had to do it once a week.
Oh, you think that?
Once a week. Could've got us some pizza or something. What's going on, Ryan?
Not much.
Were you celebrating a flight to Orlando today or something?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I saw that.
Yeah.
Is anybody on?
So 186 seats on the plane, 167.
Not bad.
passengers.
Yeah, solid.
Not bad
So
for this
for a
time of year.
first,
Yeah.
for the first one, we'll definitely take that, it's good. Yeah,
I guess that it'll pick up when the schools out, right, for the Disney trips?
yeah. And we have.
Does Allegiant do anything for people doing Disney trips, or?
Nothing that they're doing in particular, other than they're just gonna add more frequencies overall. So we have about 15 nonstops on average per week to Sanford, Orlando, which we've had since 2005. We've had that service, but this just adds Orlando International, which is a little bit closer to Disney for people.
Yeah, Sanford is.
A little further.
That's a ride.
But you know what, some people, when we announced, back in November, when we started this announcement, there were people who were terrified that Allegiant would pull the Sanford service, even though they're going to Disney, because some really prefer that, because it's a smaller facility and they feel more comfortable.
I don't mind flying in and out of Sanford.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's been a while, but I don't mind at all.
Yeah, it's a good airport, so, AB's not bad either.
It's okay.
Thanks.
I went to the pop-up to get my
Oh, did you?
pre-check.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you?
Yeah,
How was it? Okay, pretty seamless?
excellent.
Good.
It was excellent, and I registered both myself and Sandy.
Yeah.
And we went together. And I somehow registered under her maiden name.
Oh,
And the guy's like, "You're here, right?" You got your stuff. You got your passport, you got your, well, we're gonna do it, because you are who you are.
Yeah.
Here's your passport. He's a dope, and, you know, we're gonna get, he didn't say that, but that was the.
basically took
Yeah.
care of it.
That's
Yeah,
great.
He took care of it, and there was absolutely no reason not to.
Oh, great.
But you could see, if you had someone who's officious, right, they would have been like, "Oh,
Sorry,
Yeah.
it doesn't match. No.
Yeah.
That's great.
yeah," because he couldn't find her name, because she's like, "I'm Sandra McClure, here's my license." He's like, couldn't find her name on the thing. I said, "There it is." He's like, "What? That says Foster." I said, "Yeah, that's her maiden name."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh." I said, "Yeah, that's me." Well, what I wasn't prepared for, there are more screens for people who are married and have changed their
There are.
name.
Yes, there are.
So that's how I.
Yep, that's right. That's for sure.
But no, it was seamless. It was, yeah, it was great. We were in and out of there. I don't know. Felt like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Wow.
That's great.
Okay. Well, that's great feedback.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I mean, the appointments, we're always selling them out. We have the
We
appointments.
wound up, I think there was 383 appointments that were available, and we had over 400 people that we got processed
The
through.
only thing I would say is, in the future, have the arm up. Now, the truly intelligent part next door.
Okay.
Got it.
Got it.
Got it.
Got it. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
All right.
She's like, "Oh, look at those people. They're smart." Oh, okay. Well, you're right next to it, so. And it's cold today,
Yeah.
so you go walk over there with
Yeah,
that.
go walk over there.
I'm glad you used it. That was good.
Yeah, I'm a believer.
Yeah.
Because you look at it, you're looking at it like a food truck. You're thinking,
Yeah, right. I'm like,
what,
what are
what's
we
going
doing?
on here? How am I gonna get a TSA pre-clearance check here?
Right.
We got tacos too.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I guess next is global entry.
That's, yeah, if you're doing international, that's for sure.
But
No,
it's,
but it's great.
it's funny because a lot of people will say when we do that, why AB is so easy to get through, and I said, that's great, but where are you going? And how about that airport? How-
Right.
Like people
You
don't,
gotta come
they
back.
just think we're doing it for us, and that's great that you can do it at our place, and but it's wonderful, but
When you go somewhere else, larger hub airport.
How
it's
many
nice.
flights go through Atlanta?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
Right?
I'm with you, yeah, 100%.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, it's a good deal. And where are we at now? At $78?
Yeah, 78, so price
Yeah.
drop, yeah, which was nice. They dropped it. They really want, TSA really wants people to do it. That's what they want.
They should be encouraging people to do it. Makes everybody's life easier. Did you get your real ID?
I do, but I've had that for
You've had it.
Oh,
a number
good,
of years, yeah.
good.
That's good.
How about your wife?
She has it too.
There you go. Okay.
Excellent.
We got it at the same time.
So you guys are all set now?
Yeah, we're good.
Good. Yeah. We just renewed our passports this past year. Which is good. That's all the process. It is. We went into it.
Don't worry, I'll wave to you.
That's great. Yeah. We have that all the time. We get
Yeah,
people-
it's fairly common.
Yeah.
Yep. At least it's not the ink anymore, right?
Yeah.
I remember those days when I first started, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that. Do all the physical card. But
I said, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
See? Now they got you.
Now he's got it.
Now he's got
I remember once, I think it was in high school, they were doing it as a demonstration.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm good.
So I made it to, almost 54.
That's
Good for
great.
you.
That's
I
great.
had him get him up.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. That was a condition of employment way back when.
But working in an airport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's even pre-9/11, I imagine.
Even pre-9/11. Yeah. Yeah. And it was all, like I said, all the old ink cards, so they were rolling you in the ink. Gosh, yeah. Send them off. But I said at this point, they got you.
Oh, sure.
So much stuff. Well, here was the thing. So, Lamont.
Yes.
When, one of the things that we had to do for some of our employees, as a security coordinator, you have to go through additional clearances to have access to certain information. So I went through this whole new, first of all, I went through a federal process to get that done years ago. I had to redo it because the federal website and clearinghouse completely changed. They updated this new format. So you have to, everybody, even if you've been previously registered, you have to redo everything. So you go through this whole process, and it takes quite a while to work through this. I get it all done. It asks you some really great questions about your past, and you answer all these, and it says, hey, success, you've been registered. We'll send you the information. About a week after that, I get a letter in the mail that says, our system was compromised, but we're gonna give you a year of free credit monitoring. Identity protection. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is the federal government. I just gave you everything about me.
And they're gonna give him credit money.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can see them steal your stuff.
Easy trade-off, nice trade-off.
Yeah.
Nice trade-off.
So back to your point of, yeah, I was like, great, thanks. So I feel like everybody's got my information. Like, who was the guy who used to put his social security number up on the screen? Was that LifeLock? LifeLock guy, he used to like do his TV commercials, put his social, I'm so secure, I put my number in. Well, yeah, that didn't last long.
You don't see that guy anymore.
Yeah, you don't see him anymore.
I think he's homeless. He stole all my stuff.
Right, right. that the one? Oh,
There's a new one, yeah.
you went
Yeah.
down the whole fall. It's terrible. Biggest life adventure. True. True. Don't even do that anymore.
But then at the window, think about it. You know how they used to have the window in there? Anybody look at the nose, just check.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure they do.
You know, like, they used to be the best part, made it easy, but now everybody.
It's not, yeah, everybody knows. It's like an indicator. Well, you, like, anytime I've ever, man, like back in the day, right? Before Venmo, PayPal, right? You're paying something, right? Yeah. You would do the whole, you wouldn't just miss on a check, right? Write a note to him, wrap it up in a piece of paper.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Like it was a whole process to mail a check. Now it's Venmo, PayPal.
Just put it in and go.
Yeah, here's your money. Like, you know what I mean? That was
Yeah, that made it like,
oh my God.
nobody knows
Oh,
what's
yeah.
in there.
Nobody knows, yeah. You
It's
try
hidden
to
in there,
disguise
that's
as
what
much
the
as you
clock
can.
is.
Yeah. Because any, no, just make it just hold up to
There's a vision contract.
Yeah, you're right.
well, I don't know what.
Hey, Tom, should record it, short.
It is.
Are you editing it?
As we go, I can go up there and start taking slides.
I think it just says hi.
Do you have any questions about the airport? How quick would you like it?
The airport, we have one.
Great.
It's
Take care.
doing good.
Still there.
Yeah,
All right.
it's still there.
Take care, bye-bye.
That flight, yeah, it's actually a bus.
Yes, yes.
We're going now. Owen wants to be in charge of the airport.
Yeah, that seems right.
He's gonna be our rail partner, soon he'll be flying plane.
Yeah. He's gonna have many hats. Oh, man. Engineer O'Neill will be with us shortly.
Well, give him credit though, I mean, he's very transparent about what his ambition is.
Yeah.
Light rail.
Yeah.
There's no line item in any budget I know of.
No. Assuming we get a budget. See.
Well, it depends. I mean, my vision of it would be connecting all three cities and the airport, of course. But that kind of system would be.
What would be the cost to operate that? I mean,
What the hell to build it?
It needs to be more of a regional rail anyway.
Yeah.
Light rail is within a city, like Baltimore has a light rail system. They also have a regional rail system, which is the market train. It goes to DC, it connects parts of Virginia and north all the way up to, I believe, right into Pennsylvania. So that's regional rail.
There's light rail in Jersey,
Right,
I don't know, Bayonne to Hoboken or something.
right, but it connects locally.
Well, it hooks up with the path.
Correct.
To the
Yeah,
New Jersey.
you would jump off. Baltimore is kind of like the same way. It actually sometimes it
I
stops
mean,
in neighborhoods.
it's just, so there's 10 miles. Well, there's more than 10 miles between now and then. Can't do it, it's not feasible.
With the stops and
You take forever.
drive faster.
You're just not taking America's car. You need a power with it. What you mean in our car's geology? Yeah, that's a great idea. It would be easy to dig through.
it would be exceedingly. I can't tell you how much flowable fill concrete we have under the airport.
I believe.
A lot more than we have on top of the airport.
And is it an ongoing?
Ongoing, oh yeah, always. And that area in particular, I mean, it's part of the reason that land was made available to the airport back in the 20s.
Because you couldn't do anything else on that.
So, we've learned where the really bad areas are, but that's, when we did the project, that was all micropiles put down into the ground to get the bedrock because of the number of sinkholes they had when they built the original terminal. four-wheel drive, you can't get the truck moving because it's leaning into the seat hole at the back. The front tires are touching nothing. So now we have to close the run lines. Get a truck, come out and haul us out of the sinkhole, fix the sinkhole so we can run. Yeah. I've seen a few. That's good.
It's 7:52 PM. Executive session was held for the purpose of discussing personnel matters, and no action has been taken. I apologize to our guests, and we are more than willing to hear your report. So if you're willing to give it, we're still ready to hear it. The annual presentation from the Airport Authority.
Yes, good evening. Certainly a pleasure to be here, and don't want to take up a lot of time. I know that the evening is continuing on here, so to keep things moving, I'll jump right into the presentation. Certainly happy to answer any questions if there are any as we go. What I wanted to share quickly here is just a short video. The last time I was before the council, we were talking about a project at the airport, a new TSA checkpoint and terminal connector project. And since that time, we're happy to report that project was completed and is in use. So We were here last time showing you a rendering of what it would look like, and we have a video now that's interspliced with what it actually looks like. So I'll let the video roll. Sorry that it's jumping like this. I don't. So this is the outbound journey now. If you are departing ABE, the connecting bridge across into the gate concourse area. For returning passengers heading back downstairs out of the concourse, now we're turning right. This is a new connection underground, linking into what was always the underground tunnel, and now through 4 new secure exit portals, taking us back through where the checkpoint used to be, below grade, and right back into our main terminal. So a lot of positive feedback from the community. Folks that have been using have been really excited, and one of the folks that uses it on a daily basis is the TSA, and they're extremely excited about how the space works and how efficient we are able to move people through that facility now that we have 3 dedicated screening lanes instead of the 2 that we were only capable of having previously. We'll jump on here. So just real quick about the airport system, responsible for about 5,000 local jobs, all dependent upon the airport systems. Again, a system of 3 airports, ABE, as well as Queen City in Allentown, and Braden Air Park in Forks Township. Our capital program, pretty aggressive, over $200 million over that 5-year period. A lot of federal and state funding through grant programs helping us get there. But in terms of ABE, 4th largest in the state in terms of passengers, 2nd largest in the state in terms of cargo. Airlines listed here, and we'll talk about our nonstop destinations. Quick plug for a little contest that's going on right now. Newsweek has a Reader's Choice Award. I don't know how we were nominated in this pick, but we were. And so we're excited to say that one of the airports as best small airport in the country is Lehigh Valley as a possible candidate. So if you have an opportunity, you can go on newsweek.com and look up that Reader's Choice list. We would certainly appreciate it if you would vote for us. There are other airports on the list, but certainly you can also vote daily up through May 23rd. So I have a little reminder in my phone that I'm trying to do what I can. In terms of air travel and what's happening with passenger traffic, we're back. Last year, 930,000 passengers. We won't talk long about the fact that 2020 had us at passenger traffic levels that we hadn't seen since 1972, but here we are. And 2024, the great news is we're continuing to see that trend. We're continuing to see positive growth through April. So again, part of that based on the connectivity that we have. Just this morning, we were at the airport a little bit early to see off the inaugural flight to MCO, or Orlando International. So that new Allegiant service started today. That operates Thursdays and Sundays, in addition to some of their other Central Florida offerings. So you can see the pairs of cities we have connectivity to. And when we talk about connectivity, the last time we were here, we talked about the landline bus service, airline ground transportation, something that we're starting to hear more and more about throughout the country. And we were one of the first airports in the country to, through a test program with the TSA nationally, to be allowed to have all of those bus passengers, in this case on American Airlines, processing through our checkpoint, our brand new checkpoint we just saw, so they can get screened here locally just like they would if they were flying out of ABE, and proceed to Philadelphia behind the secure area directly at their gate, so they don't have to be rescreened. That's not the case for the United service to Newark at this time. There's, again, still a test measure in place with the TSA on the American Airlines service. Again, up to 5 flights a day now starting this month. I say flights, but it's hard to lose that word out of my vocabulary when I talk about the bus service. So a lot of investment in infrastructure. And it's great to have more capacity in the checkpoint, great to have the ability to process more people. We're seeing that growth, highest passenger traffic in 20 years. But along with that, we need to make sure we have enough gates. And so we're in the process of installing 2 new boarding bridges. One is up and running and went operational earlier this week. The other is going to be online by the end of the month. And so again, just making sure that now that we have the throughput capacity, we have gate capacity to handle that service. Also, food and beverage, an important part of being in the airport. People, when we're seeing folks there early, certainly want their coffee and other foods. One of the things that we're excited with the new partnership with Tailwinds is we're bringing a number of different options for passengers. So Which is a national chain, national brand. Lots of different grab-and-go options. You can see sort of that image in the upper right. Some other projects going on there include the gift shop, but also Z-Craft, which is a local Lehigh Valley company. And Z-Craft does different coffees and a nice little cafe, different sandwiches and options for folks. So a lot of different things coming online later this summer. I think it really provides a number of different new options for food and beverage that we haven't had before. So we're excited to get this concessions online. Again, as we talk about capacity, we're also talking about parking. Board of Governors recently selected AECom for the design of a new parking structure. So again, just beginning that preliminary look at site selection and capacity size, everything that we're going to be kind of looking at based on our FAA master plan forecast. And at this point, the 1,700 public parking spaces that we have are frequently used. We have an overflow lot. That overflow lot, though, we're projecting to need that full time in 2025 and 2026. Parking demand exceeds our capacity by 28. So again, we're working on a schedule to ensure that we can continue to provide that growth in parking as we're seeing the growth in passenger traffic. Along the frontage of the airport, a little bit difficult. I might be able to use the mouse here. So this is the main intersection, if you can see where my mouse cursor is at, of the airport today. This is really proposing a new intersection further north on Airport Road into the airport. That intersection is going to do a number of things. First of all, this is a level of service D intersection. So with the industrial park across the street, it really is challenging at times. The new intersection provides a dedicated entrance, and it also sets up some of the frontage along Airport Road for other development opportunities. One of those is the hotel that I have pictured on the slide here, a 145-room Courtyard Marriott. We were meeting with the team for the Marriott today. Potential groundbreaking, we're looking at August, September timeframe this year, and we're excited to have them on board to provide this project, this amenity, and it starts to begin to set up the frontage of the airport for other non-aeronautical development, something that's very important for the airport to continue to be self-sustaining. When we provide additional revenue sources that we lost, we certainly saw that during the pandemic. Really important for us to continue, like all airports in the country, looking at non-aeronautical revenues to supplement aeronautical. I mentioned a little bit about being the second largest cargo airport in the state. Thanks to that 800% growth and 4 years of record cargo, we're really in a position now where we're doing all of this with inadequate facilities. We don't have an on-airport cargo building. We have a cargo apron. There's no more room at the end to park airplanes. So we were excited to be able to develop a project as part of this master plan that also provides now a dedicated air cargo building and some additional aircraft parking. We did receive a grant for that project, and we were grateful to get a lot of that funding in place towards this public-private partnership. Braden Air Park, I mentioned that earlier. A lot of things happening in terms of the community airport service role that this airport has. We have the 9th annual polo match through Equilibrium, and this year that really raised a record amount of dollars for their program. We were excited to be able to provide the facility for that. U.S. Army Charlie Company 1st Battalion performing their exercise on site. They've done this the last couple of years. The Flight Standards District Office of FAA holds recurrent training and other safety review seminars there. You can see the new terminal that we had opened up just last year. And our Young Eagles and our Scouts program doing some introductory flights for youth in the community, encouraging folks to explore a little bit about aviation, and certainly something that we're going to continue to do to engage the community. We just recently completed an exercise. This is a full-scale emergency exercise. So 255 persons on the airport property from 44 different emergency response agencies, Northampton County's emergency response teams, and other volunteer and other paid departments from both counties represented here. It's really one of the largest scale exercises that we see in the Lehigh Valley for all of our emergency responders, police, fire, EMS, responding to an exercise of our airport emergency plan. So again, tremendous feedback on the exercise, and again, good for another 3 years from the FAA's perspective. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Real ID once again. I feel like I do that every year, and every year the date moves, although I will say the date hasn't moved since last year, so we're still looking at less than a year to go, May 7th of next year. If you don't have that gold star on your driver's license, you do not have a Real ID, which means you'll need a passport or passport card to process through a domestic airline checkpoint, right? So to get through the checkpoint, you'll need one of those Real ID compliant documents. So if you have a driver's license renewal coming up and you haven't considered Real ID, I would highly recommend you do so. I think that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have one.
Yes, Mr.
This weekend when I was sitting at my quarry, I was watching a World War II airplane.
Yes,
circling it.
yes.
What was that? What were you guys flying around?
I wish I was flying around in it personally. It was a B-29, B-29 Doc, as in one of the characters from Snow White. Okay. And it's one of only 2 operating B-29s in the world. It's here on a tour, so it was actually making its way across the country. We received a phone call if we were interested in hosting it. We were able to bring it in for a few days. Weather wasn't ideal, but we actually had to add some additional flights that were available than they had initially hadn't had on the schedule, because there was so much demand for people going up in the airplane. So it was a B-29. You're not going to see too many of those. They have a very distinctive sound.
It was something else. And then you guys used to have an air show that went by the wayside with COVID. Are they thinking of bringing it back, or is commercial, or is your cargo traffic too much to allow for the space anymore?
The challenge is interspersing the activity with the air carrier activities. Sometimes that's challenging with our site. The location for some of the cargo development is actually our air show grounds, so it kind of precludes some of that work at this point. But it certainly was a fun event, and certainly do love air shows, but they are a lot of work and a lot of fun.
Right. Okay. All right. Bring back the military aircraft.
Got it. We'll see what we can do.
Anyone else? I have one question. Okay. My question, you mentioned the $40.8 million of
I did.
from money. I just wondered, I was going to ask before you did, had you taken any advantage of that opportunity, or do you have other plans to submit for that money that might be available?
So the 40.8 we did receive. We did receive the award. There's a long process. This works now through federal highways. We're very used to the Federal Aviation Administration and their process. We're not as familiar with federal highways. I believe what will probably move forward now, we'll have to sign a grant agreement. That will probably take about a year from what we understand with federal highways. My guess is their preference is to move that grant to PennDOT directly and have us be a co-recipient or sub-recipient to PennDOT. The remaining funds are funds committed through another FAA grant and a public-private partnership funding of about $28 million from AFCO, or Aviation Facilities Company, based in Virginia. They've committed to the building, which would be a LEED certified product.
So there's stuff on the horizon.
Absolutely.
Mr. Giovanni?
The TSA pre-check, they're still on your website? 'Cause that's-
We do still have information on our website about it. I'm going to look to Colin. I was just talking to County Executive McClure about his experience, and I think it was a positive one with our pre-check. But do we have another round of dates for that?
Oh, and sir, while they're coming, why don't you introduce your staff for those of the
Absolutely.
council
Let me
that's
do that. I apologize. With me this evening is our Director of Public and Government Relations, Colin Riccabon, as well as our Director of Finance and Administration, Todd Kwan. So sorry about that.
No.
Well, thank you for the question. Yes, we plan on having another TSA pre-check open enrollment in October. The one that just happened was sold out. It was about 383 appointments that were available, and we wound up registering about 400. So it was very beneficial. People like it, so we're looking in October, and we're thinking that's probably going to be within the terminal, not with the RV out in the parking lot.
Okay, yeah.
So more information will come.
Yeah, I tried to get it, and it was like, wow, what's going on here? Crazy.
We can certainly provide information as we get the next round of appointments.
Okay.
Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'm sure we'll contact you if we have them. Thank you, and thank you for your patience with us this evening. Really
Absolutely,
appreciate
and
that.
certainly appreciate the support of the county and the council and County Executive McClure, all that you do for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have consideration of county executives' appointments, reappointments, resolution, Drug and Alcohol Advisory Board, Workforce Board, Lehigh Valley. Mr. Giovanni, will you introduce the resolution?
Yes, I will. Thank you. And I apologize if I don't pronounce the names correctly. For Drug Alcohol Advisory Board, term to expire 6/30/26. Reappointment Kathleen Earhart, Hellertown, PA. Diane Rudolph, Bethlehem, PA. Neha Kishkadan, Bethlehem, PA. And Christine Tadney's, Easton, PA, for drug and alcohol. Work Board, Lehigh Valley appointments. A Business, Tony Cruz, Bethlehem, PA. B Labor, Jeffrey B. Fretz, Easton, PA. And reappointment of A Business, Heather Cardone, Bath, PA.
Is there any discussion regarding this? Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gafredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman? Mrs. Keegan?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft? Ms. Vargo Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Corpora?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 8-0.
Thank you. Next, we have consideration of Administrative Code Article 13 Contract Resolution for Vision Technologies, Inc. Ms. Keegan, will you introduce the resolution, please?
Excuse me, sorry. Okay, whereas Northampton County Administrative Code Article 8, Procurement and Disposition of County Property, Section 13.15, Contracts and Agreements, 1 requires approval of county council for any negotiation after competitive sealed bidding, and non-competitive negotiation source selection methods. For contracts with renewal clauses, the entire potential payout, if all renewal clauses are exercised under the terms of the contract, must be considered when determining if council approval is necessary. And whereas on April 19th, 2024, the Northampton County Council received a request from the county executive for county council to adopt a resolution approving a contract in the amount of $160,182.88 with Vision Technologies, Inc. for hardware replacement for the county's yearly switch refresh. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Northampton County Council does hereby concur with the recommendation of the county executive as set forth in the attached documentation to approve a contract with Vision Technologies Incorporated.
Thank you. Is there any discussion regarding this matter? Mr. Giovanni?
See, Mr. Barron, Steve, just want to know how many switches are they? Do you know offhand?
I don't know the exact number offhand, but we usually switch about a third of our inventory each year. It's usually a 3 to 4 year rotation, depending on the equipment we can get.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? Call for the vote.
Mrs. Keegan? Yes. Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft? Yes. Ms. Vargo Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Corpora?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 8-0.
Thank you. Next, we have consideration of codifying Roe v. Wade resolution. Ms. Keegan, would you please introduce?
Okay, thank you. Whereas in 1973, the Supreme Court in Roe v. Wade 410 U.S. 113, 1973, specified a constitutional basis for the right to abortion grounded in the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, which, through the 9th Amendment, made clear that fundamental privacy rights existed, including those dealing with personal privacy such as marriage, procreation, contraception, and pregnancy termination. And whereas this right had been affirmed in subsequent Supreme Court cases such as Planned Parenthood of Southern PA versus Casey, 505 U.S. 833, 1992, and Whole Woman's Health versus Jackson, 595 U.S. 2021, and whereas a woman's ability to access reproductive health care is critical to their physical, psychological, and socioeconomic well-being, and whereas laws restricting access to abortion disproportionately negatively impact low-income people, people of color, young people, and others who face obstacles to obtaining women's reproductive care. And whereas the overturning of Roe and Casey disregarded the human right to bodily autonomy, which could also set a legal precedent used to overturn several healthcare-based and other legal rights for women. And whereas when a woman has the ability to end pregnancy, they have more time to establish stable relationships, complete education, and secure financial footing. And whereas there are various reasons, including rape and medically based life-threatening emergencies during which women may need the ability to terminate a pregnancy. And whereas while the United States Supreme Court abandoned over 50 years of legal precedent and a constitutional right with the insurance of the Dobbs v. Jackson, 597 U.S. 2022 decision, Northampton County continues to uphold the spirit of Roe v. Wade by tirelessly working to expand and protect an individual's access to these critical healthcare services. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County of Northampton, Pennsylvania, declares itself a right to choose sanctuary county, recognizing that anyone should have a right to abortion on demand and without question. Be it further resolved that the County of Northampton affirms its support for codifying the right to an abortion into federal law and urges the United States Congress, the Pennsylvania State Legislature, and the President to enact such legislation. The reason why I'm so...
Go ahead. I was just going to say we're going to open the discussion.
Okay.
And I'm going to start with you.
Okay, thank you. The reason why this interests me is because in 1992, I attended a pro-choice rally in Washington, D.C. with my aunt and my mom. And at that time, my mom was talking about how pro-choice was in trouble and it could be overturned. And I said without absolute certainty that that would never happen. We fought about it, we argued, I just said, that can never happen. We live in the United States. The United States does not move backwards, we move forward, and we believe in freedom and having rights. That was 32 years ago, and I am still in disbelief that Roe was overturned in 2022. My daughters have less rights than I did at their age. Currently, there are 14 states where abortions are illegal, 6 states with severe restrictions, 1 state with restrictions, 4 states with some restrictions, 2 where abortions are mostly accessible, and 23 where they are accessible. And PA is one of the 4 with some restrictions, those being a required parental consent, and patients must have to wait 24 hours between receiving state-mandated abortion counseling and obtaining an abortion. I do not want to lose any more rights than we currently have. Abortion bans can trap people into inhumane situations, forcing them to remain pregnant, or, if they have the resources, to travel hundreds or thousands of miles for a legal abortion. My concerns are for women's health and safety. Researchers have found that if abortion is banned through the U.S., the overall number of maternal deaths would rise by 24%. This number is even worse for Black women. Those deaths would rise by 39%. The Supreme Court's decision abandoned more than 30 years of precedent that put patients' health first when it came to laws that restrict access to abortion. We must support our state representatives who stand up for women to make our own private health decisions. The following resolution was written to show support for codifying the right to an abortion. Simply put, abortion is health care and must be legal and available in every state and every county.
Madam President.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, we have a certain job to do here at the county. We have to pass balanced budgets, make sure that our county parks are able to stay open, give resources to our Public Works Department in order for them to embark on various projects too. But it's also important for us as public officials, as individuals who are elected or appointed to do the people's business, but to put forth public messages of support or opposition to issues facing this world that matter to our constituency and matter to our value structure. I strongly support Commissioner Keegan's resolution and the words that she just spoke, and specifically how women should be able to make their own private health decisions and make those decisions based on unforeseen circumstances within their own lives. I go back to the late 90s when I was at Penn State University, not at State College. One of my friends, female, comes to me. She's really excited because you know what? She's gonna start dating. She's gonna start dating. She's gonna get back out into it. And after getting out of a terrible relationship, she hadn't dated for some time. She's really excited about it. Came over to my apartment. We were talking about it, and next day she goes out on her date. And I hadn't heard from her for a couple days. I was like, all right, well, you know. And 2 days later, I was at my apartment door, tears in her eyes. And I said, okay, this isn't good. She went out on that date, and she did not remember leaving the restaurant that she was at, inevitably date raped. Fast forward 2 months later, we're on the phone. She's crying, can I come over? I said, sure. And she tells me she's pregnant. Not a promiscuous individual, not somebody who dated a lot. She was excited to go out on that date with that individual. She needed to do what she needed to do at that particular time for her life at that time, for her future. I had another close friend in subsequent years after, she and her husband trying to get pregnant, trying to have a baby. It's what they wanted. They talked about it extensively before they got married, how many kids they wanted to have. They wanted to have a family. They were unable to get pregnant for years and years and years. And after miscarriage, after miscarriage, after miscarriage, such a lengthy period of time, all of a sudden, the magic happened. The magic happened. She was able to get pregnant. And a few weeks later, diagnosed with breast cancer, inevitably had to get a double mastectomy, But as she was going through those medical and healthcare-based decisions with her family and with her doctor, there was no way that that pregnancy that she had wanted for quite some time, she was going to be able to keep it, going through chemotherapy because of the breast cancer that changed her life in so many ways. You know, even though we can't codify Roe v. Wade here in Northampton County, of course, we know it's a federal issue. It's important for our constituents to know that we're going to fight for them, and when the time ever comes for us to possibly get involved down the road with this type of policymaking in the future, to know that we as public officials are able to provide a certain message to our constituents. So I'm going to support this resolution, and I hope the rest of my colleagues do. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes, sir.
I just find the whole concept of sanctuary county is not something I'm going to be able to support, and whether it be on this matter or any of the other matters, as I've look around the different cities and the different parts of the country that have adopted sanctuary something or other. It's just something I don't actually agree with across the board. So for that reason and other reasons, which I won't go into, I won't be able to support this resolution.
Well, sanctuary county just means that it's legal in the entire state. So having a sanctuary county, it's legal here. It's not anything different than anywhere else in the state.
I didn't say it was illegal. I said it's not something I support.
I support the intent of this resolution. I have a concern about that term as well. And I don't want my next statement to be seen as I'm not for this, because like anybody who knows me, I was at the same rally, and that wasn't my first one. And my history is all about this issue in lots of different ways. I just don't like that paragraph. And so I love the end, the idea that we affirm the right, that we affirm the codification. I don't like when council does something that's meaningless. And so stating it just for the sake of stating it, I would be more willing to support it 100% if the codification and we were sending this on to the legislature to ask for them to consider adoption. But the term sanctuary county, do we have a right to do that? Like, do we have a legal, did you guys discuss if that's a legal thing that we can do? And we can declare ourselves that, or? I'm looking at you, because you're the legal voice.
If I can respond. The answer is yes, and it's proposed by Commissioner Keegan. And certainly what I'm hearing is if there's some amendment that someone would like to make, that could be done by vote, motion, second, and vote.
I don't know. Go ahead. I'm not sure how I'd want to amend that, but go ahead.
Madam President, I was going to say, I would amend the resolution to include that we should send copies of this resolution to the member of Congress of Northampton County and the 2 United States senators. I would offer that amendment.
If I can be heard?
Yes.
We can do that after it's adopted or it's not adopted.
Yeah, okay.
I think we're considering the resolution now. I think it's appropriate to move in that direction.
Okay. That's good.
I don't know how I would amend it at this time. That I don't want to do it on the fly. I think it's too important. So at this point, I would abstain from voting. I wouldn't vote no, but I would abstain based on that language. I'm uncomfortable with it, and I'm not going to just wordsmith it on the fly. I would also consider tabling the motion till we could look at revising it and representing it in 2 weeks. If it's yours.
In 3 weeks, because we.
Sorry,
yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I just want
You know.
to make that clear. I would be willing to do
Yeah,
that
I'll
if,
wait till we actually have a meeting. I wasn't trying to.
if you have an issue with the right to choose sanctuary county wording, I would be willing to table this so that we could work this out and bring it back.
So then I make a motion to table this resolution at this time. I'll call for the vote.
Ms. Vargo Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft? Mr. Brown?
No.
Mr. Corpora?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
No.
Mrs. Keegan?
Yes.
The motion passes by a vote of 6 to 2.
Thank you. Is there any other new business this evening to discuss? Are there any council committee reports? Tom, sorry.
We had, yesterday we had Personnel Committee, and the actions of our meeting tonight was to okay the reappointments and the appointments.
Ms. Keegan or Mr. Warren, since you were the two members that were here.
Okay, let's see. So for the EELU meeting, we had Tara Mezzazena, I guess her name is. Close. She came and gave a presentation on the New Jersey DOT I-80 Delaware Water Gap Project.
And yesterday?
Oh, for finance?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a finance committee that met yesterday, and I think that's about it.
Thank you. Are there any council liaison reports? Discover Lehigh Valley met on Tuesday. They did their branding, now, let me say it right. There's a 3-year marketing plan, I believe. Well, I call it branding because branding, that Lehigh Valley branding is part of it. They also gave the updates on the ADRs. And again, I think occupancy remains in good shape. I see the ADRs climbing every meeting I go to, so it just seems like post-COVID, the numbers are climbing. But I think that Lehigh Valley is in good shape. But this quarter, there was a bit of a downturn in terms of occupancy, but nothing alarming and, pretty much in keeping with everybody across the state. On next Thursday morning, I believe it will be held at the Da Vinci Center, and we can get the address for you. There will be a kickoff of National Tourism Week, and all council members had been invited, so if you want to let them know that you're coming or not. I believe there's some events, and they're going to name Lehigh Valley Ambassador of the Year, as well as give tours of the Da Vinci Center. I believe also on Tuesday evening, there's going to be, as part of the LVEDC meeting, the ribbon cutting for the Da Vinci Center over in Allentown, and I think all council members are invited to that as well. And the last liaison report I have is you should have received, I believe Linda sent it out, CCAP resolution process is going to be kicked off. Take a look at it. Anybody has a right to submit anything for any committee. So take a look, give me a call if you're interested. That would cover any and all of the committees that we have, as well as CCAP. So whether it's how they conduct business, how we do economic development, any of the above, take a look at it and try to submit it. And again, I believe you could still get your name in if you want to go to the summer conference. I think that's it for the liaisons. Go ahead.
Really quick, just wanted to mention that I received an email today saying the Northampton County Industrial Development Authority meeting is canceled again. So I've been to one since I've been appointed liaison, so there have been a few cancellations here and there. Just wanted to update council with that.
And you remind me that there was no mental health meeting this month, but that the Magellan hearings are next week. I call it Magellan, but the what's the term? We were invited. It's the annual dementia. Sorry, TikTok. It's happening.
I don't remember
When you
seeing
have,
an invite.
it's the community, when they have to review the grant for Magellan every year, and the term escapes me, so I'll send it out to you when I
Thank
get
you.
it. But everybody's allowed to go to that, it's a public meeting. and I just lost some brain cells, so thank you. Anybody else? Council clerk report,
None.
council solicitor report,
Nothing.
motion to adjourn,
Motion.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, meeting adjourned. I swear to God.
Can't you read?
I just read it.
Not to be distributed. Did you see that?
I'm not distributing it, I'm selling it.
You know what, I'm gonna read the damn thing.
I lost, I'm losing, honey, I'm gonna write you a note. Come here, you get extra.